Hallo zusammen, hello everyone, welcome to this video of Alemán sin licencia, German without license. In this video we will talk about connectors, Konnektoren. So if we have two clauses, like for example, ich esse Fleisch, I eat meat, and ich esse Kartoffeln, I eat potatoes. So how can we connect those two clauses? As the word is already saying, we can connect them with connectors, like for example, und. One of the most easiest one, and. Ich esse Fleisch und ich esse Kartoffeln, I eat meat and potatoes. So, if we don't want to have a basic structure like one thing and the other thing, if we want to create a more complex relationship between two clauses, for example, if we have the two clauses ich bleibe daheim, I stay at home, and es regnet heute, it is raining today, we want to say now that one thing is the reason for the other thing. So the rain is the reason that I'm staying at home. In this case, I could use, for example, weil, because in German. Ich bleibe daheim, weil es heute regnet. I stay at home because it's raining today. In this case, you can see an odd position of the conjugated verb. So regnet is here at the last position of the subordinate clause. So that's the effect of weil, okay? Weil is changing the order of the sentence. We will see this later on in detail. First, maybe, so the goal of this video is to present you the three different types of connectors we have in German and the order rules you have to follow using them. So it's way more difficult than in English, for example, because the connectors have the effect that, or some connectors have the effect that the order is changing of sentences, like you have seen in the last example. So we will dive into it. We will start with these three types, as I said. First, an overview. So the first group would be the one which is connecting one main clause with another main clause. In German, Hauptsatz, main clause. Examples are und, and, oder, or, aber, but. Then that's just another synonym of weil, because. Okay? And yeah, that's the first group. The second group is the group which is connecting a main clause with a subordinate clause. So the subordinate group, Nebensatz in German. Examples, there are a lot more. These are just some, like weil, because, wenn, if, or when, literally, das, that. Okay? This das is written with two s, nothing in common with das with one s as an article. Okay? It's just a total different word. That's the second group, which already is changing the order. We will see it later. The third group is the one which is connecting as well a main clause with another main clause, like the first group, but in this case you have to apply the inversion for the second main clause, which means you have to change the order. In which way, we will see later on. Examples are trotzdem, nevertheless, and deshalb, therefore. Okay, these are the two most popular examples for the third group. Okay, these would be the three groups, and you can all the time put every connector in one of these three groups. Okay, so that's why it's quite useful if you know which groups exist and which order each of the group has. We will start with the first one. So the first one is the most easiest one. That would be the group main clause and main clause. Examples und, oder, aber, we had already, and, or, but. Then because, sondern means rather. This isn't used so much as the first three, but just that you know, would be another example of this group. An example sentence, ich esse eine Pizza oder ich esse Kartoffeln. I eat a pizza or potatoes. Okay, you can see the order is the usual one. Conjugated verb at the second position. That would be the rule. okay? Und oder have the effect we don't use a comma in front of them, okay? So you use und oder without a comma. Second characteristic, you can interchange the order. Means you can start with the second main clause, the overall sentence. So you can say, ich esse Kartoffeln oder ich esse eine Pizza. It's the same, doesn't matter, okay? You can interchange the order of the clauses. Another aspect would be if you have two times in both clauses the same subject, in this case ich is two times the main character, and the same verb, essen, you don't have to repeat them. Okay, so I could also say ich esse Kartoffeln oder eine Pizza. As in English, it's just mention one option and the other, you don't have to repeat the subject and the verb. Aber or then are working out a little bit different. Okay, so I have the example sentence, ich bleibe daheim, denn es regnet heute. I stay at home because it's raining today. Okay, so in this case, you all the time need a comma. In front of denn and aber, you all the time need a comma, as well in front of sondern. Und oder are the only exceptions where you don't need a comma. The sentence orders is the same, conjugated verb, second position. But aber and then you can't interchange the order between the two clauses. Okay? So I could not say something like es regnet heute, denn ich bleibe daheim. Would make no sense. That would be it's raining today because I'm staying at home. So that I'm staying at home would be the reason for the rain. What is nonsense. What is also not possible with then is not working like because in English. Like because it is raining today, I stay at home. You cannot say in German with then. You cannot start the overall sentence with the then clause. Okay, the then clause has to be the second clause of the overall sentence. Okay, that would be important information regarding then. So this was already the first group. Okay, so there the order stays the same. So okay, we can see it in one summary slide if we want so. Key information, verb second position. Okay, these connectors do not change the order. These connectors keep the order. Conjugated verb, second position. If you're coming to the subordinate clause group, there the order is changing. Therefore, I pointed it out. Okay, so examples are weil, we had already, is the same like then, just the order is different, but the meaning is the same because wenn, if, or as well when, literally, das, that, then we have damit, so that, we have obwohl, although, während, while, and nachdem, after, okay, or afterwards. So, I have the example, I have chosen the same, ich bleibe daheim, weil es heute regnet. As we had the example already, you can see the difference. So the meaning is the same, I stay at home because it's raining, just the order is different. The verb is in an odd position at the end of the subordinate clause. That's the effect of weil, of all these subordinate connectors. They are having the effect that the conjugated verb is being sent to the end of the sentence. So you have to cut the conjugated verb from the second position and paste it at the end of the sentence. Okay, so that would be the effect of the subordinate connectors. You have the conjugated verb at the end of the subordinate clause. But on the other hand, weil is working out like because in English. So you can start the overall sentence with the subordinate weil clause. Okay, and the order within this weil clause stays the same. Conjugated verb at the end of the weil clause. Weil es heute regnet. It would be an error to say weil es regnet heute. No, the conjugated verb has to be at the last position. If you start your overall sentence with the subordinate clause, you have the effect that later on in the main clause you have to apply the so-called inversion. This means, or I call it as well, X order. Why? Because you interchange the order of subject and verb. You have to put the verb at the first position. Okay, so you start the main clause with the verb in that case. So it would be an error to say, weil es heute regnet, ich bleibe daheim. No, you have to apply the inversion. Interchange subject and verb. You say, weil es heute regnet, bleibe ich daheim. Okay? That's an aspect you have to keep in mind. If you have the subordinate clause at a second position, so first the name clause, it's fine. You have the usual order, so first subject and then second position, the conjugated verb. Just if you start with the subordinate clause, then you have to apply the inversion, first position, conjugated verb. Okay? So this would be weil, just that you will see also another example. I will show you another one. Ich mag Musik, obwohl ich nicht singen kann. I like music, although I cannot sing. Okay? Why I have chosen this example? So that you see also a sentence where you have in the subordinate clause with the connector, with the subordinate connector, two verbs. One infinitive, one conjugated one. I all the time said the conjugated verb is at the very last position. Okay? Means like in this case you have the effect that the conjugated verb kann, that's conjugated first person for ich, of the verb können, so it's not the infinitive, it's conjugated, is after the infinitive. I know for English natives it's a little bit odd, this order, but unfortunately it is the case. So you have to put the conjugated verb at the end. Means what effect do we have or do have the connectors, the subordinate connectors? You do not touch the order of the rest of the clause, okay? You just change the order of the conjugated verb. Means the infinitive is normally in German at the end of a sentence. You do not touch this rule. You just change the position of the conjugated verb. From the second position, you send it to the very end of the sentence. That would be what you have to do in the subordinate clauses, okay? But nevertheless, also for obwohl, although you can start the overall sentence with the subordinate clause, obwohl ich nicht singen kann, mag ich Musik. Remember, if you start with the subordinate clause in the main clause, you have to apply the inversion. First position, here I marked it in yellow, the conjugated verb. Okay, so this would be the second group. Now we are coming to the third group. The third group would be the inversion group. In that case, we have the two major examples, most popular one. Deshalb, therefore, trotzdem, nevertheless. We have a lot of synonymous. So deswegen, daher, darum are all therefore. They are all the same like deshalb, okay? Have the same meaning like deshalb. Dennoch would be the same like trotzdem, means as well, nevertheless, okay? So that would be the most popular one. You have some other examples like folglich, consequently, dann, danach, okay? So this would be just one or just some examples for this group. But as I said, the most popular ones are deshalb and trotzdem. In this case, the first main clause keeps the order. The second one is changing. Es regnet heute, deshalb bleibe ich daheim. It's raining today, therefore I stay at home. Okay? So in the clause, in the second main clause, you have to apply the inversion. And inversion means you start with the verb, okay, with the conjugated verb. That's why it's at the first position, conjugated verb. So it would be an error to say, es regnet heute, deshalb ich bleibe daheim. No, you have to apply the inversion in the second main clause, starting with the conjugated verb. Es regnet heute, deshalb bleibe ich daheim. Okay, so this would be the third group. An important aspect regarding the third group is also in this case you cannot interchange the order of the two clauses. So you cannot start with the deshalb sentence, okay? That's not possible. So I cannot say deshalb bleibe ich daheim, es regnet heute. It's not possible. I also cannot interchange just the sentences, the clauses, sorry, and keep the connector in between. That's also not working out. Ich bleibe daheim, deshalb regnet es would mean, again, I stay at home, therefore it is raining. So my home staying would be the reason for the rain, Makes no sense. That's why you cannot interchange the order of the different clauses with connectors of the inversion group, okay, like deshalb or trotzdem. So this was already it, but we will have a summary in one slide, okay? So the basic information of this video, which I wanted to show, is that we have three different types of connectors, okay? The first group connects main clauses and main clauses. There you don't change the order. Verb stays at the second position. The second group is the group which is the subordinate clause group. In that case, the verb is at the end of the position. Examples are weil or wenn. And we have the third group. In that case, you have the verb at the first position. Okay, so in that case, you have to apply the inversion, verb at the first position. Examples are trotzdem or deshalb. So this slide basically provides all the information of this video. Okay, that's the key information. We have three different types of connectors, and every connector belongs to one group. So whenever you learn a new connector, you have to ask yourself first, in which group I have to put it to know how to order later on the sentence. Okay. So that's everything, and in this context, I hope it was helpful, and tschüss, bis bald.